So, not many of y'all know who I am. Well, maybe you know me because of a computer screen, but reality is we haven't got to spend a lot of time together. Maybe you don't even remember my name, and that's okay. In case you forgot, my name's Annie. But I thought I would just take this opportunity to let y'all see a little bit more of who I am. So, one thing that you should know about me is I am very competitive. So if someone offers me a challenge, I'm going to take it and I'm going to give 100% of it. It doesn't matter if it's a board game or someone's telling me to jump off a rock into a lake. I'm a very competitive person. So recently, my roommate and I were in her hometown, Aiken, South Carolina for July 4th. And her aunt has chickens that lay eggs, and that's where they get their eggs from. Well, these two chickens are not very nice chickens. If you try to get their eggs from the chickens, then they will peck at you and peck at you and peck at you. And so I watched her aunt do this one day. And then about 24 hours later, my roommate looks at me while we're just hanging out, and she says, "So, I have a challenge for you." Knowing good and well that I will probably accept this challenge. I don't even know what it is yet, but I am already determined that I'm going to do it. She then tells me that she will give me $5 if I go and check these chickens for eggs. But I'm not allowed to wear gloves, and I'm not allowed to have help. So it's just me, these chickens, and bare hands. And so the next day, we go over to her aunt's house, and the chickens need to be checked for eggs. And so my roommate looks at me, and she's like, "All right, this is your time." So we walk over to the chicken coop, and I am getting in my head, and I start to get terrified. Like, what's going to happen? Are these chickens going to hurt me? The aunt was freaking me out, saying like, "Oh yeah, they'll draw a little blood, but you're fine." I grew up in like the middle of Greenville, South Carolina. So there were no chickens around me. This is my first encounter trying to get an egg from a chicken. So I was just breathing heavy, was trying to get pump myself up to get these eggs. And so there were several times where I leaned to the chicken coop, kind of put my hand under, or tried to start putting my hand under, and the chicken would start going at my hand. And I became terrified and would have to take a step back and breathe again and try to hype myself up. So eventually, I got my hand under the chicken. I did not successfully receive the egg or the money because I had to get an egg to get the $5. But that's not the point. I overcame, at least kind of overcame, the challenge that was presented in front of me. And that's kind of what I think a lot that God will do for us, is that God is going to give us challenges and God is going to push us outside our comfort zones. I have done several things that if you would have told me a couple days before that I'd be doing, I would have never guessed that I would have done that. One other thing was I jumped off a rock into a lake when I was terrified of heights in middle school, just because someone challenged me to do it. But see, God knows that we don't need to stay in our comfort zone, or else no growth will happen for us. God is going to continue to push us through the good and through the bad, and even during this pandemic. While it may look a little different, and it may look not like we have ever expected it to be, God knows where we need to be challenged the most. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is 2 Timothy 1:7. And it says, "For we are not given a spirit of timidness, but a spirit of love and self-discipline." God has given us a spirit that can go far beyond what we are comfortable of. God does not allow us to stay timid, even though we might feel that we are. God knows that we can be pushed and that we can rely on our community to be there when we feel timid and weak, and to remind us that we are loved and that we can go and be loved ourselves.